guys, welcome back to my channel. It's the first video of 2019, which I'm a month late for, so I'm sorry about that. Fun fact, this is like the third time that I'm recording this video that you guys are watching. So yeah, mama's been having some trouble. But anyways, sorry about these. Like, what? Postpartum fallout. Like, that's what's going on there. So excuse that, you guys. Anyways, so as you guys can see on the title of this video, it's a very emotional video, very personal, and I thought I would share this just to help anybody who is kind of in the same boat as me. I never really related to any of the other videos here on YouTube regarding like being a teen mom, being pregnant, and being in a toxic relationship. So that is what I'm here to talk about today. I'm not gonna out this person's name, although my son is named after him. It's kind of hard for me not to. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I met Daniel my junior year of high school. I was actually 16 at the time. Well, no, I was 15 at the time and turning 16. I met him during football season because I'm an athletic trainer for the school, or I was an athletic trainer for the school. If you don't know what that is, it's basically you just help the athletes when they're hurt or if they need something regarding like being taped before a game or anything like that. And so that's what I did. It was one of our home games. He's actually on the JV team, and so it was, I think, halftime. We went up on this hill during halftime, and for my job as an athletic trainer, I have to go around and check to see who's hurt, who's bleeding, who needs a retape, all that stuff. And so I passed by him, not really thinking like, oh, he's hurt, whatever. And so our quarterback, who I'm really good friends with, he called my name and was like, hey, he needs your help, he's bleeding and stuff. And so I was like, okay. I helped him out. I completely hated him because he was a jerk. I asked him to just finish up the tape and he's like, no, that's your job. Like, and I guess that was his way of flirting with me. I ended up not liking him in the beginning, and then come to find out he was actually this guy that I thought was really cute in the lunch lines of school. So I didn't really recognize him to be like the same person. And so because he had these glasses that he wore all the time, which they were fake, but they looked super good on him. But anyways, fast forward, we became really good friends, really close, and then we ended up liking each other and started going out November 1st of 2016. So 5 months after getting into a relationship, I found out that I was pregnant. When I had a follow-up appointment to make sure that I really was, I was about 2 months pregnant already, which scared the hell out of me, because like I had symptoms. I knew that I was pregnant, but I didn't want to believe it because I had an irregular period, so I wasn't sure if I was just missing my period, because that tends to happen, or if I was actually pregnant. And so I was pregnant, and that is when things started to change. Like, after I told my parents and my family, after he like basically said that he'd be there for me and everything, things really started to change with how he acted towards me and treated me. Now, mind you, when we first started dating, the first month was cool or whatever, but then it started to change. Like, it was very different from my last relationship that I was in. He started telling me like, oh, you can't wear that, like, don't wear that, what are you trying to do, you're trying to get other people's attention or something. I didn't really mind, like I didn't pay attention to it much. I was like, oh, okay, whatever, because I never dealt with that before. So I was like, okay, if he didn't want that, then whatever, I'm not really tripping. But then he actually ended up not wanting me to be friends with my best friends. One was a guy, one was a girl, and he always had a problem with them for some reason. But me being like so wrapped up in him that I didn't really question it. Like I mean, I fought for them. Like it took months for me to be able to be like, okay, fine, like I'll do it, because I'd rather not fight with you. Like I love you. I don't want to make you mad. And so that ended up happening. So fast forward to when things started changing after I found out that I was pregnant. I'm sorry if the lighting totally changes like that. I'm so bright right now. Like, ugh. Obviously I'm doing natural lighting, so then it's cloudy, so it's gonna change. But anyways, I really didn't question it or anything when things started to change after I got pregnant. But as the time progressed, the amount of control he had on me increased. Like it was really bad. Like I didn't say anything. I just kind of dealt with it. We almost broke up a few times, and then when I was about 9 months pregnant, it was around Christmas time, he broke up with me, and he just was like, I don't want to deal with this right now. I just want to be by myself. And for 2 weeks straight, I was just a mess. I was begging for him to take me back, begging for him to like even pay attention to me, and it sucked. It really did. The person that I was supposed to, you know, be partners with in this journey, decided to not. He just wanted to leave. So when it was Christmas time, he still came over to give presents, because his mom and his grandmother actually I guess bought me stuff, which was really helpful during my pregnancy, because like it was with like maternity stuff. And then there was a present from him, but I can tell that his mom was the one that bought it, because it was completely like her style. I ended up actually getting him a present and wanted to give it to him at the same time that he dropped off those presents. And I actually came into this room, which is like on the side of my house. It's like our nice living area, and I was like, look, there's a letter in here that I need to read to you, and I have your present. So he took out his present, and it was actually a promise ring. When it was I think our 1 year anniversary, he got me a promise ring. He didn't really get the concept of a promise ring. He just thought like, if you give it to her, she'll know that I'm gonna be with her forever type thing. Like, I promise I'll marry her. So I guess that was his promise. And I wrote a huge letter to explain my promises to him, to try to get him back, and to make this work. And so when he saw the ring, he smiled, but he didn't want to hear what I had to say on the letter, and just let me have it and walked out the door. And then I think after Christmas, he ended up reaching out to me, which it was a week before our I think it was a little less than a week away from our first baby shower, which was him and his side of the family that like put together and stuff. And so we got back together. Then a few days later we went to that baby shower, and things were kind of awkward between me and him, just because we had just gotten back together. And so like I kind of just dropped it, the fact that he like broke up with me. I was just so happy that he got back together with me. Like that's all I wanted and was focused on, because I didn't want to deal with this pregnancy alone. And so a week after that baby shower was my side of the family's baby shower here at the house, and it was different. When I say different, it's because like a lot of my family knew what was going on, like somewhat of what was going on, and now during the baby shower it kind of like just made their thoughts correct, basically. So I was getting ready for the baby shower. My best friend, who I've known since I was 3 years old, her and her mom actually came out to the house and helped us with this whole baby shower, and I finally got to spend time with her. So that was like exciting for me because it had been, I think, 5 years, 4 or 5 years that since I have seen her. And so I was so excited, and she did my makeup, she helped me get ready and stuff. And then when Daniel got to the house, he reeked of cigarettes. And I hate smoking, I hate weed, I hate cigarettes. I don't like the smell, I don't like anything that has to do with that. And he knew that. He knows that I absolutely hates it, but he just does it anyways because there's no stopping him. I would have thought at least he wouldn't show up to my house around my family smelling like that, but he did. And that kind of hurt me, but I just brushed it off and was like, okay, whatever, like, you're here, I want to just enjoy our baby shower. And so that's what we did. But as the night went on, he said that he remembered, like, oh, my niece's birthday is actually today, and I already RSVP'd. And so he ended up leaving the baby shower to go to that party, and I was extremely embarrassed, but I did not want my family to like dig into it or anything, so I acted completely fine. Although my mood did change after that, like I showed that I was a little upset throughout that whole thing, because that's embarrassing. Like, you're gonna leave me during our baby shower to go to a different party. And what makes it even worse is that when he came back from it, he was high and he smelled like weed and cigarettes, worse than he already did. And by the time he came back, it was around midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. So everybody had already left. My family left when the party ended to go get boba, and that's where my best friend ended up going too, because we both wanted something and I couldn't exactly go because there was a few guests still there. And so they went, and then he came back, and she came back a little after he got to the house. And so like I just stayed with him and her, and we just kind of talked and laughed. And then she ended up leaving, and he stayed while everybody else went to bed for another hour. And I didn't bring anything up. I didn't, you know, he didn't say sorry. I made it seem like it was okay that he went, just because I didn't want to argue and I didn't want to have my night ruined from a huge argument. But so the first baby shower was on the 6th. Exactly 1 week after that was the 13th. And so the 14th we didn't really do anything. We hung out with my friend and her mom, and then the night after that, which was Monday night, her and her mom left. And what's funny is that she jinxed me. She said, I really hope you have this baby tonight because I don't want to leave. I want to see this baby be born. I was like, don't jinx me because my stomach's already hurting. And I thought it was just a tummy ache because I ate a lot of, you know, junk food that night. But that whole night I was not able to sleep at all. I was tossing and turning in my bed. I couldn't get comfortable. Sharp pains in my stomach. I ended up having contractions. I thought they were Braxton Hicks contractions just because they weren't so strong. And so I just brushed it off. But then around 7 in the morning, I couldn't handle it. And I went downstairs to time my contractions because just staying in my bed, staying in my room was not helping me. So yeah, like I didn't have a phone at that time. I had a rinky-dinky phone. Like it was an iPhone 6s, but it was torn up. It was scratched up, broken a little bit, and I just could connect it to the Wi-Fi. And so I had an app that I was able to time my contractions, and so that's what I did, while at the same time using my older brother's phone to text my mom and text Daniel to let them know, like, hey, I'm having contractions, I might need to go to the hospital. And my mom was at work. Daniel was, I guess, sleeping still. But I was like, my mind was racing. I still had to do a lot of stuff. And so my mom told me to call the advice nurse, which I did. And they said to let them know what my contractions were. And they were pretty close together and they lasted really long. So it was a girl that was on the phone. She was telling me, like, just, you know what, come in. I think you're in labor. And we'll see what we can do for you. And so I had to call my mom after that to let her know, like, hey, this is really happening today. You guys gotta come home. And then she told me that my uncle, who lives down the street, is gonna come pick me up or just sit with me until I really feel like we really need to go. And so that's what ended up happening. My uncle came over. He was like, I really think you need to go to the hospital now. And so I texted Daniel off of my uncle's phone while we were in the car, and I said, hey, we're really going this time. Please meet us at the hospital. And he was already awake at this time, and so he was saying that he was basically pissed off that my uncle was taking me and he didn't want to come anymore. And so the whole way to the hospital, I was begging him to come meet us. And so we got to the hospital, and I went to the place where they like hook you up and monitor your contractions, and they checked if I was dilated, and I was only 1 centimeter dilated. So they couldn't admit me just yet, and you have to be a certain amount dilated to be admitted into the hospital. And I forgot what that number was. It was like 3 or 4 centimeters. But I think I had a midwife. Yeah, she was like telling me that I really think that you're gonna have this baby soon and you're dilating pretty fast. So I think you just need to go across the street, go on a walk for like 2 hours maybe, and then come back. And so Daniel and his mom ended up meeting us at Target, and I was getting out of the car reaching for Daniel, and he didn't budge. He basically like walked with his arm down like this, and I was like gripping onto his arm trying to help myself up because I could not move. My contractions had me bent over holding my stomach because it hurt so bad. And I was walking extremely slow, but he didn't help me in the slightest way. And so when I got inside Target, I ended up pushing a cart because it was easier to just like get all the weight off of my back. And it was easy. It was kind of easier to handle the contractions that way. And so we walked around the like entire outer aisles of the of the store, and by the time I got to like the Starbucks that's usually on like the right corner of Target, I had to sit down because I couldn't take it anymore. But when we first got in the store, Daniel ended up leaving to go somewhere. I guess when he told me, he said he was going to the bathroom, but I didn't hear him because he either set it too low or whatever, but I didn't hear him. And when he came back, I was actually talking to his mom, and I was like, I really just need him and all this stuff. And he was even more pissed off because I was talking about him to his mom. But I told my mom, I was like, when we got to Starbucks, I need to go. I can't take this pain anymore. It's too unbearable. And so she said that she actually had to go to the bathroom, so I was just gonna go with Daniel and his mom. So I went back to that room that they, you know, timed my contractions and monitored me. And when the doctor checked if I was dilated again, I was basically at the number that I needed to be in order to be admitted. And so after that, everything went pretty fast. Daniel still wasn't talking to me, wasn't paying attention to me. When I was in the hospital bed, I would always reach for his hand to hold my hand. He wouldn't like do anything. He was just sitting in the chair next to me. And I couldn't reach for him, so I just held his whatever fingers that I could latch onto. And so my dad just sat there watching and was like telling his mom, you need to get him and talk to him or else I'm gonna do something. And so his mom had to pull him out multiple times, and it didn't do anything. It sucked because the one person that I needed most, again, was not there for me. And it hurt a lot. Like I would constantly cry every single time he left that room because I just, like, he needed to get his shit together and he couldn't. And it was getting close to where I was gonna get my epidural, and he had just gotten into the room, and when he did, I reached my hand out for him, and he easily came over and held my hand. And the doctors were like, is he gonna be the one to be in here with you when you get the epidural? And I said, yeah. And so he was, and come to find out, my epidural wasn't working. It was actually leaking all over my shoulder. And so half of my body would be numb, but the other half wouldn't be. So they had to fix that part. And then when like everything calmed down, my parents and his mom said that they were gonna go out to dinner because it was just kind of like a waiting game. I was dilating, but not fast enough to where it was a cause for concern. Basically, like, they were able to like have time to go out and then come back. And so they did. I was like, okay. I was kind of scared because I didn't really want to be alone with him, but it ended up happening. I didn't really speak up for myself. I was extremely exhausted at that point. I barely got any sleep. I didn't sleep for almost 24 hours. And so as soon as the doors closed and everybody was out of the room, he took it as his chance to talk to me and convince me that he doesn't want anybody to be in the room while I gave birth to Junior. And so the whole pregnancy, I made it known that I wanted his mom and both my parents to be in that room when I was giving birth. He didn't want that. He wanted it to be just me and him, especially since the way he acted, he made that as an excuse to add to the fact that he wanted to make up for how he was acting before. I didn't want to fight. I was like, yeah, sure, I understand, whatever. It'll just be me and you. That's the #1 decision that I have always regretted ever since Junior was born. It's still really hard to talk about to this day because I hurt both of my parents doing that. And it also hurt me in the long run because I have no footage of my son being born. I have about 2 to 3 pictures of Junior after he was born, me holding him and then him in the little weight thingy that they put him in. But that's it. I have nothing. I don't know what he sounded like when he cried. I don't know anything. I don't remember any of it. And so after he was born, my parents walked into the room. And mind you, before I started pushing, my parents and his mom had just came back and they were trying to get into the room, but I was about ready to push. So they're like, no, you can't come into the room. I'm sorry. Please wait in the waiting room. And I heard my dad like, what do you mean I can't see my daughter? And I knew that I messed up right there when I heard him. But it was too late. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was just told to push. I needed to push. And so I pushed, and after he was born, everybody came in, and everybody but Daniel's mom was a mess. Like, I could tell everybody cried. Even my dad, who doesn't even cry in front of anybody, like I knew that I messed up. And it hurts me a lot still to do that to my family. Anyways, after that happened, I was in the recovery room, where you spend like 2 or 3 nights, depending on like how the baby's doing. We went there and it was just constant fighting. I barely got any sleep while being there, because my family didn't spend the night there with us. Like, it was just me, Daniel, and the baby. And every time my mom would call to check on me and to see how I was doing and how the baby was doing, I had to put up this front. Like, I felt forced to be mean to my family. My sister is playing upstairs, so if you heard her, I'm sorry, but I had to put up this front just to make sure that I wouldn't piss him off. And like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was hurting every time I had to talk to my mom like that or to my dad like that. Like, I was hurting a lot, but I couldn't say anything because if I did, it would cause a fight and it would be just this mess that I didn't want to deal with. Every single fight that we had, like, it would be flipped to my fault. Like, everything was my fault. It was my fault that I wouldn't comfort him when the baby was, even though the baby was crying and stuff, like, I wouldn't be there for him. And there were times in the recovery room where, like, I wasn't allowed to sleep because he just wanted to sit there and pout and just make me feel sorry for him. Like, as a person that loved him, I never wanted him to feel upset or just be mad or anything. Like, I wanted everything to be okay with him. I was willing to do anything for him just to make sure he was happy. And I don't even know what we were fighting about. He was just always like, I'm gonna kill myself, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that. Like, you don't love me, you hate me, you treat me like shit. Like, he didn't even consider the fact that, hey, she just had a baby. Babies change things, and I'm not always gonna have the attention anymore. And I think that's what the problem was. Like, he would want Junior out of the room as much as possible so that he can get the attention. But anytime that Junior was out of the room, I had to get as much sleep as I could before needing to breastfeed again. And he didn't like that. Anyways, after having Junior, my parents let him move in for a month to see, like, oh, are you guys able to handle living together or not? Because he was not letting up about us living in the same house. Like, he wanted us to be together as a family. We should be living together in the same house. And so my parents were very generous enough to allow him in our house, or their house, and let us stay. But he just controlled even more. I wasn't allowed to be downstairs with my family, and my parents and my siblings weren't our family. It was just me and him and Junior. That's my family now. I was always the one that had to make him meals because he didn't want to leave the room. He just didn't want anything to do with my parents or anything to do with my siblings. It just got to the point where I kicked him out, but I didn't want to break up or anything. And so one thing led to another, and I ended up leaving this house to move in with him and his mom. And I lived there until Junior was about 5.5 months old, until I actually moved out, because living there it had its good times, but it had a lot of bad times. We would be up at 5 in the morning arguing because I didn't cuddle with him at night, or I didn't give him enough attention or anything like that. And throughout the day, he would be gone with his friends getting high or doing things he's not supposed to be doing. And it impacted me a lot. I was taking care of the baby all the time, and when he came home from hanging out with his friends, I was expected to make him food, even though it was 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And when I would say no, he'd be like, fine, I'll just starve myself, or I'll just go to bed hungry, or you don't love me, whatever. And you know, those are things that are like really hurtful to say. Like, no, I don't want you to starve. No, I don't want you to go to bed hungry. Yes, I do love you. I'm exhausted. I take care of a baby all freaking day, and now I have to take care of you just because you don't want to, because you're out all day with your friends. And it's like, I didn't know the difference if I'm being like a bad girlfriend or bad partner, or if like he really is just being a jerk. Like I didn't know if I was in the wrong or not. And so like I would just, okay, whatever, I don't want to fight, just watch the baby, make sure he doesn't fall, and I will get you food. Because Junior, he slept in our bed. It would be Daniel, me, and then Junior. And Junior is like basically in this like duck-a-top type of thing, like he was surrounded by a border. And so that just, it completely broke me. Like, I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to live my life that way anymore. And so I left. I called my mom while we were in the middle of an argument, and I was like, can you please come pick me up when you're done with work? This is it. I moved back home twice before actually officially moving back home, because like we would always have problems. But then it also affected like everybody else around us. And so my mom said, if you're gonna move back home, this is the last time you're leaving or staying. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I know that. This is it, I'm done. I'm staying for good now. And so ever since then, I've been here. I've been working on myself, making sure I keep Junior healthy. I make sure that I raise him properly, and just overall, it's a healthier environment for us. I'm happier here. And Junior definitely is too. Like, he is thriving now. He still sees his dad on a certain schedule, and his first birthday actually just passed, so that was a milestone for us, 1 whole year later. And it's me and him again. But okay, so fun fact, I realized that my phone died in the middle of what I was trying to say, and then I charged it, but I didn't end the video. So here I am, you guys. It's a few days later. I just woke up, but basically what I was trying to say before my phone died was that Junior and I are doing really well here. We're happier. I'm currently looking for a job and stuff, and so that's we're good now. I wanted to make a point in this video that if you know that you are in a toxic relationship, don't try to... That's Junior in the background, sorry. Don't try to wait it out and wait for that person to go back to the person that you fell in love with in the beginning, because they're not gonna go back to that person. The person that they are showing you right now is the exact person that they're gonna be, if that makes any type of sense. I just really hope that whoever's out there watching this video, if you're watching this video and you're in the same situation, don't hesitate to contact me. I have my social media linked down below in every video, so you can contact me if you need any help or anything. So don't be afraid to reach out to somebody, actually, you know, tell the truth about what's going on in your relationship, because you're only gonna be hurting yourself and you're only gonna prolong the inevitable. And that's kind of what I learned through this. I just kind of ignored what the truth was, and it only ended up hurting me more. I just hope that this video helped anybody out there that, you know, is going through the same situation or going through something similar. But that is the end of this video, you guys. I'm so sorry that it's so late. I know this was really requested. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. I don't know what we're gonna be doing, but I think Junior will be in it. We will see you guys next time. Bye!